up. We thank God for another day to be here. We want to make sure that you guys are good. Today we're talking about how do we know when God is shifting us? How do we know that when God is shifting us? Um, that's the topic today. I want you guys to be ready. Let's get everything we got together for this day. It's going to be a great day. Let's get all our energy up. We up. Let's go. Once again, it's on. We're ready to start. So I hope you guys are locked in. You ready? Um, Sometimes I get up here and I think, what in the world am I going to talk about? Um, and even if I got something prepared, like I do have something prepared for you today, is like, where's God going to take us? So that's one of those days. Sometimes when people, and I'm like, I have too much material to cover in 30 minutes. Other times I'm thinking, really, God gonna have to lead this one because here's why. Because I don't know everything, and because I don't know everything, I have to depend on God to kind of like speak through me, even when I don't have nothing written down necessarily on paper. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm thinking that you can. I do see the little green line jumping up and down. But how do I know when God is shifting me? And when I say shift, I mean there's a place in our lives, right, where we may have been going through a lot of struggle, maybe a lot of difficulty, maybe you've had death in the family, maybe you've been dealing with some rough times financially, and if you like me, all of the above, right? um, but one thing about us as believers is that we don't believe that we're going to stay in that position. I've asked people all the time, and they think it's a dumb question, but I say, what's the difference between being broke and being poor? What's the difference? And what I've discovered is that being broke is my current state, right? But being poor is a state of mind. It's being poor is giving up on the thought that you can ever even imagine wealth or even have wealth. It's like not saying that you can't get out, but you'll hold up a sign that says, please help, right next to a help wanted sign. Like it's this mentality that I cannot do better. Being broke um, is just the moment. It's the time that you may be in right now, but that doesn't mean you're going to always be that way. So not only that, but just our overall state, right? There are seasons in life. What comes after fall? Another season, okay? After winter, another season. Spring, another season. Summer. So we never really stay in the same seasons of our lives. So right now, you may be in a season of lack. You may be in a season of wealth. You may be in a season where it feels like everybody's walking away. And you may be in another season where it feels like everybody is around you. But regardless of what season you may feel like you're in, it's going to change. It's going to change. It's going to shift. So for some of us, that shift is going to be some good news. I'm not one of these guys to get up here and talk about, everybody's being shifted into a new level. But some of us that are listening today do feel like God is shifting us. And we feel like God is shifting us in a positive direction. Feel like God is really moving in our lives. Now think about it. All the stuff during this season that you've learned, right? All the stuff in this season that you have had to go through, all this stuff in this season, and recognize that it can't stay. These problems can't stay. These issues can't stay. That's why it that's why people who they had people they were showing. I wanted to get the stat before and maybe you can look it up for me. Let me know in the chat. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Miss Griffin. But um, they had a stat of people because they have people who jump off bridges and stuff all the time, and some of these people actually survive. They hit the water and they survive, right? But they were saying that almost 100% of the time, those survivors wish they would have never jumped. You know, like in the middle of them jumping and hitting that water or whatever, they wish that they had never done it. Why? Because you're making a drastic decision based on just a season in your life, right? So you're having a rough season in your life, and then you're thinking, okay, that's it. I'm going to end it all. Well, summer could be just right around the corner. Your blessing could just be right around the corner. And so you ending it early when God was trying to show you something in that season. And you may say, well, my life is over. No, you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself. And I know this word is for somebody because we tend to think that because things don't look like how they used to look, right, that it won't get better. That's good right there. Like, because I feel like preaching. Let me slow down. Okay. You had it good back then. Things were looking good back then. And so part of us want to pull ourselves to back there. But what if God is doing something new in your life? What if he wants to take you to a place of joy, peace, restoration that you've never been to before in your life? Are you prepared to move forward instead of trying to get back to where you were? Right? Is God shifting me? And the answer 100 times out of 100 is yes. God is shifting you. Now, some of us are being shifted into a position of learning where we're going to have to learn some things. But others of us are in that season of learning right now. There's nobody who's always in a season of learning and who's always in a season of, good times, fun, whatever. But there are all these seasons in our life where they shift, right? Because people want you to think that it's always good, always good. No, it doesn't matter how much money you have, whatever. You can't buy peace, right? No matter how much money you have, you can never make it to where you always have great season after great season after great season. It doesn't work that way. These seasons, and we're not talking about fall, spring, winter, because a lot of people still thinking I'm talking about that. But we're talking about seasons where things are rough, seasons where things seem like they can't get right, seasons where your heart is broken, seasons where feel like you can't rub two nickels together. These seasons do not come to stay. So you may lose your job, you may lose your wife, you may lose your house, but what if God is trying to get you a new job? What if he's taking you to a place where you can have a better house? So you can't lose your mind, Noel Jones said. You can't lose your mind over the stuff you lost because you're going to need your mind for where you're going, right? You can't lose your mind over the relationship that was lost because you're going to need your mind for the new relationship that God has just over the horizon. So don't give up yet. Don't give up. Don't give up. Because God is shifting you. Who's a good example of this? Joseph. I believe it's Genesis 37. His story starts off. And it talks about how he was, among, I think it was, he was one of the 12 brothers at that time. And it seemed like he was kept having these dreams that were really counter to where he was in relationship to his brothers and his mom and father. In other words, he was having dreams that he was going to be this great, well-to-do type of figure, right? he said he had a dream. I can't remember exactly, but it was something along the lines of the stars bowing down to this one. You know, it was something along the lines of his family having to be subservient to him. And God was giving him these dreams. His brothers were hearing him, and they were getting jealous of the fact that he was having these dreams, thinking that he would rule over them, right? But he didn't give himself the dream. It was a dream that God had given him. But they were jealous of that fact, and they sold him into slavery. That's a shift. That's a shift. Now, you would think that after he got this dream of greatness, that he would go from from the dream straight to the palace. That he would go from the dream straight to the palace. But instead of going from the dream to the palace, he actually went from the dream to the pit, because his brothers threw him in the pit and told him, what's going to become of those dreams? Those things that you had, that you said you was going to, do this and do that. Think about, guys, the dreams that we started off with. And now let's think about the things that we settled for while pursuing those dreams. We settled for a lot of stuff while pursuing those dreams. But Joseph didn't settle. He said, I know it's a pit right now, but I still feel like this dream means something. And so he was sold into slavery. They were going to kill him, but they couldn't kill him because God's favor was on his life, right? They can't kill you. As much as they want to try, they can't kill you. That's a word for you right there. But he was moved into slavery. And then after a whole lot of stuff, that's a shift too. But if you give up right there, you'll never figure out the palace that God is pushing you to, right? And so he went from there to being the ruler of his master's house, right? That's a shift. So now he's shifting again to being in a place of privilege, to being in a place where he has some kind of power. And then something happened that was out of his control. His master's wife started hitting on him, tried to sleep with him, right? And he left her with his garment, with his shirt, his jacket, whatever it was, in her hand. And so now she going and telling her husband, your slave, look what your chief servant did. He tried to rape me. It was a lie, of course, but now he's going back to jail. Now, check this out. He's worked this hard. Now, some of y'all have worked hard, man. And it feels like all that hard work has gone down the drain. But yet now, that's a shift as well. Don't think that every shift is going to be something that is pleasant, because it's not. But that shift that he had to experience from being in charge and, being recognized, now he's back in jail where he started at. I'm reminded, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but on the news you may have seen a young man who was accused of something that he didn't do, was in jail for 10 years, let out by the governor. He was pardoned by the governor, and now he has been 10 years have been stolen out of his life. There's some shifts that happen in our lives that are unfair. But now the question is, what if he would have gave up in the middle of that 10 years? What if he would have never tried to write and let people know his story and let people know how he was innocent? What if he would have just fell apart during that shift? You can't fall apart during your shift. Because what's over the horizon, I'm telling you, is not going to stay the same. It's not going to stay the same. But you got to prepare for your shift. So Joseph, after he's in jail now, he starts having some dreams. Well, no, he starts to being able to interpret dreams. So he has a gift. The gift, the king finds out about this gift. The king needed his gift, and now over some time, he was able to be in charge, second in command over everything that the king possessed. Now, his family, who threw him in jail, threw him in slavery in the first place, they have to come back to him. And now there's this leveling off where we never find that Joseph ever had any kind of issues like that again. He went from slave to entrepreneur, right? And that's where we can go if we don't give up during the shift. There's some changes that are happening, right? You know, a lot of us, we got a lot of good stuff to post on certain times of our lives, but other times it feel like nothing, right? But maybe you're in a shift, and if you give up during the shift, you'll never see number one, the lessons that God are trying to teach you, and number two, you'll never find out how strong you are during the shift. And you won't find out where he's shifting you to. So there's a couple things that you have to know about this shift. Number one is when you're experiencing the shift, and the way you know you're experiencing the shift is when everything around you feels unfamiliar. Right? And good morning to everybody. Good morning. I see y'all in there, and you know, y'all can really talk to me too about the shift that you've experienced. Like, and it's funny because a lot of times we want to hold it in, this shift, right? But maybe your testimony can help somebody else. Maybe what you've been through, maybe if we'll be honest and stop just talking about the good times and really be honest about what you've been through, right? That can help somebody else through their shift. So God is shifting us. He's moving us. One of the ways that you know that you're experiencing a shift is everything around you feels unfamiliar. New people, new surroundings, new job. You don't know, how this company works. You don't know how this business you start, how it's going to work. But you can't get comfortable in the things that you've been doing because God is shifting you to something new. There's new people he wants you to meet. And a lot of us have been praying for stuff that now God is just starting to move you into, and you're resisting him because you feel like it's not as comfortable as the way you wanted him to deliver you into it. So like, you asked him for this, and now that he's giving it to you, it's like, it's a big problem because it's not comfortable. But your shift ain't always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be comfortable. And God will provide in the middle of it as well, though. I mean, I'm a living testimony that if you depend on God, he's 100 times out of 100 going to make a way for you. 100 times out of 100. So I'm encouraging you guys this morning. That's number one. And that you're going to feel everything be unfamiliar during this shift. Another way you're going to know, and I'm almost done this morning because we got to get ready to go do something. But another way that you know that you're experiencing a shift is a new desire builds up inside of you. There's some things that you can't get if you stay where you are. Sometimes you're going to have to shift in order to get what you prayed for. You can't get what you prayed for at the job you at right now. Some of you. You can't get what you want out of life in the relationship that you're in right now. You can't get what some of you, I'm not talking to all y'all. I'm just, because I don't want you to go leaving your wife. But a lot of times you can't get what you trying to get with the people you're hanging out with the things that you're thinking about, right? The things that you're doing is not really conducive to where God is trying to take you. Okay? So it's a shift. Now y'all talk back to me this morning. Talk about your shift. Talk about past times where God was shifting you out of something and you didn't like it, but it turned out for your good. Right? There are times where we feel like God, there's a desire built up in me. And the scripture says that he will give you the desires of your heart. He will give you the desires of your heart. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean I could just rub God like a genie and then whatever I say he's going to give me? No. He's actually saying, I'm going to place in you desires that only I put there. And the scripture says that only the mind of God will be able to know what those things are that he has for you. So, it's almost like the thing that's burning inside of me to do. It's not even me who is desiring it. It's the desire that God put in me. It's desire that he put in me. Why? Because he wants me to be able to do something that's going to glorify him. So, and that's what I've decided in my life too, because I had a lot of opportunities to, do different things that I know would have been great money makers, right? But everything in my life I want to do, I want it to be pleasing and give God the glory. I want God to get the glory in it. This thing that I'm doing right now, I want God to get the glory in it. When I work with children, I want God to get the glory in it, right? Because at the end of the day, only what I do for God is going to last. I was talking about it last night in Bible study. You die right now, they're going to put out an email at your job. So-and-so did, right? And they're going to find somebody that look just like you. Because only what we do for God is going to last. God, guys, the last thing I want to show you, because I got to go, but one of the other ways that God is shifting you is when you figure out what he was trying to show you. In the middle of what you're going through, God is trying to show you something. And it's your job to figure out what that is. Good morning to everybody. I got to go a little early. I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining in. I'll see you tomorrow.